This is KGW News at 5.
We start with breaking news here at 5 o'clock. U.S. health officials have given final clearance for kids as young as 5 years old to get Pfizer's COVID vaccine. The CDC director has given her approval after an advisory panel endorsed the shot for kids earlier today. More than 28 million children are now eligible for the vaccine. They could start getting shots as soon as tomorrow. The CDC panel said in its decision that data shows the vaccine is safe and effective in reducing hospitalizations and COVID deaths. Meantime, doctors from the Oregon Health Authority are still concerned with vaccination levels in minority communities. Even though there's been a lot of progress, there is still a long way to go in order to reach 80%. Right now in Oregon, under 60% of African Americans and Latinos are fully vaccinated. Within the white community, the number is closer to 70%. Dr. Emilio DeBes with OHA says culturally specific outreach is the key to vaccination success in different communities. Lieber Ford works with Self Enhancement Inc., a group that helps the Black community in Portland. Over the past few months, they've had about a dozen events where they vaccinated close to 1,000 people.
So each of our vaccination sites were very culturally specific. So you walked in, there was music playing, we had good food, lots of faces that looked like yours showed up, and smiles. And the first thing we did is in that welcoming environment is educate you.
If you need to get a COVID-19 vaccine, Multnomah County still has weekly clinics. We have a link on our website with more info on where they are.
It was brutal, and my bones were shattered. It was like pretzel sticks in a bag. It was crushed.
We are hearing from a victim of the record-setting level of gun violence plaguing the Rose City. Tracy Carmen was shot while doing what so many people do, enjoying a night out in downtown Portland. Now, the 36-year-old can't walk without assistance and can't make a living. Tracy's case remains unsolved, and tonight, Crime Stoppers of Oregon is now offering a cash reward for information. Mike Benner reports.
And never in my life would I ever thought that I'd be in this position.
Not a day goes by that Tracy Carmen doesn't think about the early July morning she was shot in downtown Portland.
It's unfathomable how bad it's gotten down there.
The 36-year-old and two friends had just left a bar near 3rd and Burnside when a group of young men approached them. Tracy says the men tried to pull her away, at which point her friend intervened. A good Samaritan with a gun did too.
And he shot off, pop, 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 5 rounds. Because usually, I guess, if you hear gunshots, everyone drops and scatters.
That did not happen in this case. Tracy says the group of men returned fire. 23 shots when all was said and done. Tracy was hit once, in the leg.
Insanity. It feels like a burning, hot, red-hot iron poker. And I was screaming, they shattered my leg.
Tracy spent more than 2 weeks in the hospital, her birthday included. Since her release, she's moved to Seattle to be closer to family.
So I can't walk unassisted for 6 months. They said I can't work because I'm a bartender. I can't run around. I'm a nightclub bartender, fast volume. I can't work for over a year.
At the time of the shooting on July 3rd, there had been a little more than 570 shootings in Portland year to date. That number has ballooned to almost 1,100. More than 320 people injured, 55 killed.
I am the lucky ones.
A lucky one who chooses to look beyond the unprecedented level of gun violence haunting Portland to find the good.
I've seen the worst in society. Obviously, I got shot, almost killed, but I've also seen so much love and compassion and support.
It turns out Tracy wasn't the only one hurt in this whole thing. She says one of her friends was actually beat up amidst all of the chaos. Anyone with information that leads to an arrest and conviction in this case is eligible for a $2,500 reward from Crime Stoppers. Reporting in downtown Portland, I'm Mike Benner for KGW News.
Portland police have identified 2 suspects wanted in a deadly shooting from August. Officers are asking for help to find 18-year-old Leonard Edwards and 19-year-old Deshandra Rayford. On August 20th, Johnny Polenko was shot and killed in a convenience store parking lot at Southeast 92nd and Holgate. Edwards is wanted for murder. Rayford is also accused of assault in the case. Anyone who knows where the suspects may be should contact Portland police. Listen to this. A wild chase ended in the arrest of 6 people, including a driver police say is just 14 years old. Deputies say they tried to pull the teen driver over yesterday in Marion County. He refused and led them on a chase that ended when police used a spike strip to stop him. All 6 people who were in the car then tried to run. All were caught and arrested. They range from just 11 years old to 23. The car they were in was reported stolen a few days earlier, and deputies say the group also had stolen guns and meth. The suspects face a long list of charges. Deputies also say they found evidence related to a series of business burglaries in downtown Camas, Washington. Amid the violence right now, some local leaders are calling for more support for police officers. And today, Sandy Mayor Stan Pulliam, who's running for Oregon governor, joined Gresham officers for an event at Main City Park. They're trying to bring attention to police staffing shortages.
We're losing officers to retirement at a record pace, and we're struggling to recruit officers throughout the state. And there's good reason for it. Because while different leaders will say that they're not defunding the police, the truth is while we're not investing as heavily as we need to be, our elected leaders are too often defunding with their rhetoric.
Pulliam announced his candidacy in September. He's one of 8 Republicans who filed or announced they're running for governor. It opened way back in 1960, but the long run of the Lloyd Center Mall may soon come to an end. A New York-based investment company that lent $110 million to the mall 6 years ago said it's not getting repaid, and it will take ownership of the mall before the end of this year. We talked with Troy Douglas, who owns a shop inside the mall. He said he's not too worried.
I know how people read it. They think that, the mall's closed. And the mall's not necessarily going to close now. It may, in 6 months, in a year, in 5 years. I'm not sure.
Lloyd Center Mall started out strong, but has struggled more recently. All of its flagship anchor stores are gone, including Nordstrom, Sears, Marshalls, and Macy's. The investment firm said it plans to redevelop the site in a way that will include residential uses and creative offices. A former U.S. Coast Guard vessel abandoned in the Columbia River is now sunk. We took you there this summer off Hayden Island when the boat was floating. It's just one example of a much bigger problem that could cost the state and taxpayers millions. Galen Etlin has the update.
The Alert isn't what she used to be.
Got into worse and worse condition.
The abandoned 1920s Coast Guard vessel that KGW toured in August now sits at the bottom of the Columbia River off Hayden Island. It sunk on Sunday.
A boat that's floating in that condition is always at risk of sinking.
Scott Smith is an emergency response planner with the Oregon Department of Environmental Quality. He has been on board the Alert many times over the last year to assess environmental risks.
And it can be extremely hazardous.
DEQ, the Coast Guard, and other agencies helped remove thousands of gallons of hazardous material, including oil, chemicals, and batteries. So now that the Alert has sunk, they say it's not leaking significant pollution into the river.
Absolutely concerned.
Leanne O'Neill with the Oregon Department of State Lands says the Alert is just one example.
A big growing problem across Oregon.
Derelict boats litter state waterways, and ones like the Alert and its neighboring tugboat, the Saccharissa, often have transient people on board.
There is no easy solution.
Each boat can cost $1 million to remove, and now the Alert is sunk, taxpayers are left with a bigger bill.
Double or quadruple the costs.
Everybody knows we want to get these boats out of the water.
Lieutenant Lisa Siebert says the Coast Guard already spent about $300,000 to remove hazards on board these ships and doesn't have the means to raise and remove this one.
It's setting a bad precedent to have to do that for every vessel all over the United States in the future.
To see the state of the Alert now, how do you feel?
It's a shame it ran its life's course.
So where is the owner? These boats don't have one. A nonprofit hoped to restore the vessels, but the owner died and the boats were left behind.
This exemplifies the broken dreams of many people.
Now it's on the state and taxpayers.
Current funding levels through all the agencies that are involved in derelict vessels, it'd be something like 200 years to be able to remove all the derelict vessels here.
Washington has a program to remove boats like this, but Oregon does not.
We need the financial resources in order to do these types of removals.
But it's going to take help from everybody.
The Coast Guard is investigating, but thinks people leaving hatches open may have filled the alert with rainwater, weighing it down. And with people at risk on the neighboring ship, agencies hope they can find the money to remove these boats soon.
Prevent this from happening to the Saccharissa.
Once proud ships, not what they used to be. Galen Etlin, KGW News.